to Organizing with Ease. September always has this funny way of sneaking up on us, doesn't it? I don't know, one minute we're still in the slower, lighter summer rhythm, and then suddenly it feels like someone hit the fast forward button. School's back, work is picking up, after school activities are back on the calendar, and before we know it, the day feels jammed packed. And here's the thing, when life speeds up, our homes often fall behind. Maybe mornings feel rushed, evenings feel chaotic, and you find yourself moving the same pile of papers from the kitchen table to the counter to the desk just to get through the week. That's why this month we're walking through a special series I call Change into the Season. Each week, we're focusing on one letter in the word change to help you reset your home and your routines, step by step, little by little. So the transition into fall feels calmer and more intentional. Last week, we began with C, clear the clutter. Today, we move into the second letter, H, harmonize your home. Because once you've cleared the clutter, the next step is creating flow, making your home work with you instead of against. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Deanna Mall, your host. And if you're one of my returning listeners, thank you for showing up each week. Truly, your messages about the small wins, like finally clearing that one counter spot area, right? Setting up a coffee station, yay, or trying a nightly routine reminds me of why I share these tips. You inspire me as much as I hope to inspire you. So let's dive right in. So here's something powerful to think about. A study in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that people who describe their homes as cluttered or unfinished are far more likely to report feeling stressed, fatigued, and even depressed compared to people who describe their homes as restful or their sanctuary place. How about that? Your home environment doesn't just impact how it looks, it impacts how you feel, how you show up every day, even how patient you are with the people around you. So here's my first question for you. When you walk in your door at night at the end of the day, does your home restore you or does it drain you? So, why I'm asking and why I can actually share with you is that I actually saw this play out when I was helping my daughter set up in her new apartment. Once the clutter, meaning the boxes were unpacked, the suitcases were put away, all that paper was put away as well, we created intentional zones for her and, of course, with for her roommate as well. So, of course, for my daughter, I wonder where she gets this from, but she wanted a coffee station for her mornings. And it worked. And we had a couple of few touches of decor, which was right by the front door, where it was a three-tiered shelving unit. And we put baskets on each of the shelving, one for her roommate, one to be shared. And that was for their like drop off things, keys, sunglasses. But guess what? Each one of them had a place to place things right there by the door so they wouldn't get lost. Here's the best part. You ready? She stood back and said, Mom, it finally feels like home, like mine, my home. I love it. When you hear those words coming from your child, you're just like, "Oh my gosh, it's so warm and fuzzy." And that's what harmony does. It doesn't require perfection or expensive furniture. It's about creating flow, function, and comfort in spaces you live every day. So why does harmonizing matter? Well, because clutter is about the excess, but harmony is about alignment. It's aligning your home with your routines, aligning your shared spaces with the people who use them, aligning your workspaces with the energy you want to bring to your day. So, what space in your home feels out of alignment right now, right this minute? And how is this misalignment showing up in your daily life? Because remember something, harmony isn't just about the stuff, it's also about the people. Think about the shared spaces in your home, the entryway, the mudroom, the laundry room, the kitchen, the family room. These are high traffic zones where your family's rhythm enter either flows or it breaks down. Shoes scattered by the door. Mornings start tense, right? The kitchen table still buried in papers and with homework. Dinner feels like a chore. The living room overflowing with random stuff. Relaxing together feels impossible. But when those spaces are harmonized, you reduce friction. Mornings are so much smoother, evenings are so much more calmer, and family time actually feels like family time, right? So, which shared space in your home creates the most tension right now? If you're at home right now listening and you're looking around your areas of your home, what would that be? What would be that shared space? And how would your daily rhythm change if that space flowed more easily? And let's not forget about the home office or even just that desk or that command center in your kitchen where your bills might be there and you have to pay them and you also answer your emails. If your workspace is covered in piles, tangled cords, and yesterday's old coffee, you start your day already a little bit behind. And when your office is harmonized, though, guess what? That means the surfaces are clear, your supplies have a home, like those extra paper clips. You reset your desk each night. You begin your day with focus instead of frustration. So, one of my favorite resets is nightly desk clear off. You're probably like, Deanna, all of your resets are your favorites. Yeah, but you know what though? The night one for my desk really is one of my favorites. Because you know why? It takes about 5 minutes, maybe 10, depending on my day, right? But it transforms the way that you feel when you sit down the next morning. And that's why I do it because I know that I wrap up my day, close my computer, shut it off, clear my desk, put everything away so that when I come back in the morning, I'm really good to go. So, what's that one action that you can take at the end of your workday to bring harmony into your office for tomorrow? So, you're probably thinking, well, how do you actually harmonize a space? Like, what is that all about? Well, this is where my fresh start method actually can come in and how it can work, not only to clear off clutter, but to also create lasting flow. So, of course, the first step is to find and to store, right? We gather everything in one place. So, we're going to break it down into some sections. Entryway, we pull all those shoes, those bags, the mail, right? We put them all in one place. The kitchen, you can pick and get all those collect your papers, your gadgets, those things that are scattered across the counters. In your office, stack all the papers in one pile. You're probably thinking, ugh, all in one pile. But here's the thing. What would you discover if you gathered every item from one space into a single spot? Aside from having anxiety looking at that pile, probably you're probably thinking, I can't even think about having it all in one pile. But guess what? That's how we get into the deciding what belongs and what doesn't. So, for those shoes and the entryway, do you really need all 4 or 5 pairs? Maybe you could scale it down to maybe 2 per person, basically, and leave those by the door. What about the kitchen? You recycle those outdated flyers or whatever it might be that's outdated. Those gadgets that are broken, toss them out. You don't need them anymore. For your office, shred old paper that no longer is needed. And actually, guess what? Just a little tip. They now have a self inking where it's confidential, and you just roll over and any of those confidential information and just throw it away. Tight secret. Just wanted to share. You don't need that shredder all the time. Not now. Okay, so what's sitting in your space right now that doesn't belong? And how would you feel to let it go? I don't know about you, but something like that is basically a game changer. Letting it go, realizing that it doesn't belong, and moving on. Because that's where we then systemize and harmonize. We create systems that match your life. A basket for the shoes, or maybe you actually might want to have a shoe mat instead, hooks for your bags, a tray or a basket for the keys. For your kitchen, maybe one drawer or caddy for the homework supplies so that the table stays clear, so that you can actually put homework supplies back where they belong, and that could be one of your what? Night routines. For the office, use a tray or folders for active projects. And if you have anything pending, maybe also allocate an extra, file for that. What's that one system that would immediately make your life smoother for you and your family? It's that one system, it's that one thing that will actually make a difference. So, what we do is afterwards, after we do all that, we sustain and we tidy. And that's where the maintenance comes in, right? We build small resets into your day. That 5 minute pickup before bed in the living room. We clear your desk every evening. And that is how one can do and start to make that change for tomorrow feel so much better. I worked with a client who said, it feels like my house is fighting me. Do you hear that? Fighting me personally. I live in this home, but my house is doing that. The kitchen counters were buried, the laundry room was stacked with unfinished projects, and her office was so messy she avoided it completely. Basically, no night cleanup of that desk, none whatsoever. She basically just had the door shut because every time she opened it, she had that anxiety. Do you have that? Does not need to be the home office. It could be maybe a bedroom. It could be also one of those linen closets. But we started small. We harmonized the bedroom into a small, simple, zone, basically. We cleared and we did a reset of one of the kitchen counters, and we set up a filing system in her office. And it was great to hear back from her because she had said, for the first time in months, my home feels like it's giving me energy instead of draining it. So, what would it mean for you if your home gave you energy instead of taking it away? So, here are a couple of takeaways aside from thinking about that last question that I just asked you. So, here are some practical ways to harmonize the week. Create a drop zone in the entryway with baskets or with hooks, or maybe, like I said, a shoe mat if you would like. Designate the one spot for the homework or for the paperwork. It's always good to have that. Rotate kitchen items so you use what you use the most, bring that within reach, bring it closer to you, right? Especially into the pantry. You want to refresh your coffee or your tea station, for smoother mornings, which I've actually done as well because, after my recent kitchen remodel, I definitely had to redo everything, especially for the morning routine of my coffee station. Try, that nightly desk clear off in your office. Try it. Just try it out. And then add one small detail that makes you smile every time you see it. It could be a candle, it could be a family photo, it could be flowers, because for me, it's all about the flowers, which I change out weekly, which I totally love. And I actually do flowers also in all of the bedrooms. Not so, of course, in the bedrooms that are not being used, like the guest room. I do that when the guests actually arrive. So here's your challenge. You want to pick that one shared family space, like your entryway, kitchen, living room, and that one personal space, like your office or your desk or your command center in the kitchen. And then we're going to go through the finding, the sort. We're going to reduce and evaluate. We're going to systemize and harmonize. We're going to sustain and tidy. And then when you notice the rippling effect of how this all works, and at the end of the day, you will be so surprised of how you will feel about and see about the change. So let's do a quick recap. We are going to continue our change series with what? The harmonizing of your home. We talked about why harmonizing really matters because what? It's all about alignment and not perfection. We explored how shared family spaces impact daily rhythms. We discussed how harmonizing your office can change your productivity. And we used the fresh start method to walk what? Step by step through harmonizing actually any space. Home is the nicest word there is by Laura Ingalls Wilder. So this week, I invite you to harmonize one shared space, one personal space. Start small. Use the fresh start method and notice how your energy shifts because when your home flows, your life flows. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next week, keep making those fresh starts and I'll see you back here for Align Your Routines. Take care, my friend.